Nadia, as you rightly said, let's rock and roll. Yeah. Thank you, Nadia, for the introduction. Tariq, Deepak, Rob, Sharif, Amanda, thank you for joining us. And all the viewers and listeners, I believe we have people all over the world. I think it's a great, great audience. And thank you so much for finding the time for being on the show. Thank you. Okay, so what is the panelist all about? Travel and technology. And some of them asked me, is it going to be talking about you or the new haircut you've had? The answer is no. We're definitely going to stick to the topic, travel and technology. So, I mean, for each of the panelists who are here today, they are experts in their field and what they do, and they have been stalwarts, they have been founders, they have led the travel side. And some of them, if you ask me, and I'm not going to ask, if you ask me outside this forum, is how long they have been in industry. And if I start doing the maths, I mean, obviously the age factor will come out, and I never want to do that in a forum. So, but feel free to ask me on a one-to-one, and we over a drink. I mean, tea, coffee, or whatever it suits you. Thank you once again. Now, travel technology. I believe everybody asks us today, pandemic, how it has impacted you. What are the changes we're seeing? Where is travel going? Where is the technology evolving? I think those are the most important questions I get to. I mean, the people ask me, and I often ask people such as the panelists today. So let me just quickly deep dive. And remember, Tariq, Deepak, Rob, Sharif, Amanda, as Nadia said, we got to rock and roll. Yeah, we got to make it fun and interactive. And feel free to jump in. We have a good discussion. I think that's the most important. Let it not be. I mean, I'm not a principal. I'm not a school teacher. I want to have the fun, and I want to interact. I want our viewers to be also interactive and ask questions. Tariq, let me ask you first. I believe you've been leading the travel portfolio for SIRA, Hajj and Umrah specifically for Saudi Arabia. What are you seeing? How is that impacting the travel? I mean, are you seeing emergence of new segments happening? I mean, sometimes the thought comes in my head, is there something called vaccine tourism coming out because there's a pandemic? Tariq, we would love to hear from you.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thanks a lot for having me out here, and nice to see so many familiar faces again. So let me just start off by saying, when it comes to the current situation in terms of what we've seen post-pandemic, or rather, I wouldn't say post-pandemic, like we're all hoping that this is the end of the pandemic, but we know it's not. What we're seeing definitely is that customers have very quickly evolved in terms of what they want and how they want to kind of get there. Let's look at it from a very typical Saudi traveler's point of view. We knew for a long time Saudis couldn't travel abroad, so they had a pretty large restriction in terms of where they could go and where they could not go. And what we saw is the very strong emergence of domestic tourism out there. Now, Saudi as a market was never strong from a domestic tourism known point of view. They knew where to go. They had the places where they went to, but it was not very popularized. And I think this period actually helped us to create newer products, focus on destinations which Saudis would like to go to. The good part is Saudi was always connected from a flights point of view, right? They had so many airports and so many places where people could go to with a very strong road network available. It just made sense to kind of create packages and allow people to travel within that. However, having said that, we also saw a lot of destinations gradually opening up, and flights started kind of announcing schedules to certain destinations. We saw a lot of interest coming up to places like CIS countries like Georgia, Azerbaijan, Armenia, etc. So we saw a pickup on that. One of the most popular destinations, which is the good news that we got last night, is that Dubai is now open, which was the most popular destination for the Saudis. So that's one really good news. We expect that to start bringing in a lot more tourists from Saudi into UAE. But what we saw is that the emergence of places like CIS countries, and for us the biggest surprise was Egypt. Like Egypt became really the number one destination for us in this post the last 12 months, and that has been a very interesting learning for us. When we look at the Hajj and Umrah business, here again, we saw the Umrah business getting opened up for international tourists on a gradual basis. So the government keeps on announcing lists of countries that they will allow people to be coming in from for performing their religious tourism rights. And what we're seeing is that most of these countries are very small Muslim population countries. So we aren't seeing that kind of demand, because if you look at it, the bigger demand would come from India, Pakistan, Indonesia, Malaysia, Egypt. Turkey, and these countries are still not fully open for pilgrims to come into Saudi Arabia. So we're seeing very small packets of places like Bangladesh, which is like pretty large Muslim population. We're seeing people coming from there, but given the restrictions in terms of people need to be vaccinated by the vaccines approved by the Saudi government, there is a little bit of I would say it's a slow start, but the demand is becoming high. I know yesterday the Saudi government announced that they will now allow 70,000 pilgrims a day, which is a very good sign. So we do expect the demand to start going up.
Fantastic. Fantastic, Tariq. Thank you,
Thank
Tariq.
you.
Okay. Tariq, we also see in Saudi Arabia, they're doing a lot on the tourism side, trying to get people and hosting events and shows. I think that's a great move because that's what we need. It's one of the largest markets in this part of the world. Tariq, thank you so much for the insight. Now the question, Amanda. Amanda, you're the Wonder Woman of the super app of Airasia, and I'm the Superman of Tune Protect Dubai. Hopefully, I'm still am after the show. I'll leave that to my group CEO to say that. But I think, Amanda, I think it's very important for all of us to understand super app. I mean, super, you got to help me understand, and I'm sure the panelists here will also, and the viewers would like to know, what is super all about? And the second most important thing, what are the key areas the pandemic impacted? I think these are two things I definitely would like to know, and the rest. Over to you, Amanda.
Thank you, Ari, for the kind introduction earlier. I'm never a super. The super is actually the team and a co-founder. First of all, very nice to meet everyone here. This team of distinguished panel of speakers, Tariq, Sharif, Robert, and Deepak. Coming back to Ari's questions, I guess I'll start off with how actually the entire pandemic impacted the Airasia super app the most. If you ask me, it has been a very shocking and challenging 18 months. I think since the pandemic for all of us in the industry, not to say just airline, but the overall travel or the retail industry, right? For us in Airasia, we have always been very people-centric. People are always our biggest asset to us as all of us, all stars in Airasia. So everybody talk about digital transformation. What is digital transformation? Yes. In my personal opinion, digital transformation is more about humans than it is about technology, right? With such a drastic change, how do we motivate and groom the early adopters of all the talented all-stars that we have in Airasia and in Super App to become one of the early adopters of digital transformation? So I guess this is one big piece of it. The second piece is very important, which is the speed to market. This was, I would say, this will be the utmost important essence of our business today, right? If you look at Airasia Super App today, we started from scratch, the 18 months ago, and now we are seen as a challenger in the market already. So actually, there's no downtime for us in the Super App. So again, it's people and speed. These will be the two biggest impact to our business since the pandemic. So then back to your question, Ori, you asked me, what is Super App? How are we really, really super comparing to other apps in the market? So with that, we said about all the impacts that are coming out from the pandemic. But actually for us, pandemic opens up a brand new whole world for us. It's actually a new chapter for Airasia to begin with. We didn't stop at all during the entire pandemic period. We worked really, really, really hard over the past 18 months in ramping up an overall digital transformation, right? Here we are today. If you look at us, we are the ASEAN Super App with 15 new line of businesses. We're already live, especially in Malaysia as our mothership. We've started off in Thailand as well recently, as everybody is aware that we have took over the Gojek business in Thailand. We are now into Indonesia as well. So from now, everyone can fly as our tagline. We are now becoming an any-day super app, but we're still keeping on to our DNA, where we are still a low-cost model. We are not going beyond that. We are keeping our low fare for flight, and now we're talking about keeping our low fare on ground with our new e-hailing services. We're keeping our commission very low for all our delivery partners out there in the market. So this is where we are very super with, right? So we deliver people as an airline. We now deliver our guests on the ground. We deliver food. We deliver groceries. We deliver beauty products, and soon we're going to deliver parcels, as well as health and wellness products that we have. But to make it more relevant to today, we will soon be offering a non-travel insurance product on a super app, of course, by Tune Protect. So this is really a super app level. So what is our strength? What is our key strength by having so many line of businesses? We look at us today. Number one, I was in the previous session earlier, we talk about data. Everybody is talking about data, but the most important bit of it is actually we have 51 million of real-time data from our airline businesses. And we know these people, they want to experience more on super app. And this is absolutely very powerful for personalization in our world before travel, during travel, post-travel. We know exactly the user behavior and the journey of each and every one of our guests today, right? With that, how do we then make all the rest of the product relevant to them, deliver to them real time at the right place and at the right time? This is very, very powerful, right? The second area we look at right now is everyone have the rewards program, but for us it's different, right? We're turning our rewards program into our own digital currency within the entire super app ecosystem. This point can now be used for checkout, whether you want to do half cash, half points, or even full points within whatever we have to control over the entire super app, which is 15 new line of businesses. You can already use this digital currency, the so-called big Airasia rewards right now, right? Soon we are merging both apps into a super app, so really a real ecosystem, soon to be for super app. Another piece is I think is really new to everybody. This is another game changer for us in a super app. If you remember back then, that probably more than 10 years ago, Airasia, we were the first one who jumped on the bandwagon for social media, right?
Yes.
And we were the first one in Asia to really encourage and pioneer the entire online booking for flights. And now, and soon, which we are really building at the back end, is we are going to become a community-led super app. What is community-led super app? So community is basically, if you look at us right now, we have built a very strong travel communities, right? We are soon going to build another very strong lifestyle-driven community with all the products, that we have launched so far. So with that, we will have a next generation and community engagement channel, which we are now building, which soon we're going to have our own improved version of a chat. You can refer to a Kakao Talk. Soon, one day, will become a Kakao Talk. We're not quite there yet, but we're gearing towards that. And also, we're going to build our own live stream channel, which is going to be embedded on our entire super app platform, right? So this is where we are really super. So in summary, Airasia super app is actually a single platform experience. And we win because of the entire complete ecosystem that we have built so far. So here we are as a super app.
So Amanda, I'm correct in saying a Wonder Woman of super app. So great show. And I think you touched on some very key important points. One was, I firmly believe in the concept, one size doesn't fit all. I tried that very early in the game in my love life, it crashed down. So one size doesn't fit all when it comes to, I mean, as you rightly said, it's a single platform, but you're offering different verticals. I think that's the great part. The second most important, you mentioned about people. I mean, understanding customers, what they need, what they don't need. How do you manage that? I think marketplace is the name of the game today. And you're absolutely right. Today, we have the information lying there. How do we use it? I think that's the key today. Thank you so much, Amanda. We'll come back to you after we go through the rest. Deepak, MakeMyTrip. I love the name, MakeMyTrip. You know, I wish I could just pick up the phone and tell you when I flew last week. I went to the Netherlands. I should have picked up my phone and asked you. MakeMyTrip is listed in NASDAQ, and you own quite a few others like Go, Ibibo, Redbus. Great. You offer a plethora of services, including travel assurance products. Let me understand from you, pandemic impact on MakeMyTrip. What are the things you saw? I mean, it's very important for me to understand, especially because MakeMyTrip is also a very important household name in India, in the subcontinent. And obviously, you're now taking on the reins for the Middle East and international markets. So, Deepak, would love to hear from you.
Hi, Ori, and hello, everyone. Glad to be part of the distinguished panel. Yes, you're right, Ori. We largely are very popular brand in India and own multiple brands like Go and MakeMyTrip. Uh, we've seen ups and downs, and you've seen multiple waves coming. We've seen up and down in travel, and travel industry was hit very, very badly. But what eventually it came out was there were small positive shoots which we saw with domestic travel and leisure travel in weekends and short breaks building up. And at the same time, I think it was blessing in disguise that we, just before COVID came up, we decided to launch in UAE and as a part of our expansion strategy in Middle East. And it worked out very well because UAE was the first one which actually started doing well in the market. So it was very important to have enough communication going with the customer, the help of the technology, right? How do you solve for customer problems? There were refunds issues with airlines, and there was enough calling which came to our call centers, and we tried to solve that to our best of ability. And I think we did fairly well at that, keeping the consumers informed on what are the rules. And in India, you know, there are different rules by state. Passing on the right information to the consumer, giving them the confidence that they can travel with restriction wherever it was possible. I think that is something which is very, very critical for us. And as we speak now, I think there is clearly a confidence that the worst is behind. And we've started doing well within India and the limited sectors which have opened up. And in UAE, while the staycations was the flavor of the season, and as Tariq mentioned earlier, we could see traffic going into CIS countries. Maldives was perhaps one of the most popular destinations. So in buckets, we could see positiveness coming in and consumer having that confidence. A lot of it was initially one-way tickets, but now we see more and more return journeys, more people booking, basically per booking more passengers, which means leisure is coming back.
Absolutely.
And the demand for a couple of months ahead is definitely building up. And UAE is opened up. Saudi just announced yesterday. Turkey is open. So multiple global borders opening up. And I think it's good news for travel fraternity that it is coming back, and hopefully it will only get better from now.
Thank you, Deepak. And you're absolutely right. And in fact, even trying to connect what you said and what Amanda said, and with Tariq also, is that travel and technology. I mean, with the pandemic, it's become a constant what we call work in progress (WIP), because you have to be in a far more faster, let's say, go-to-market, or the delivery system has to change because you have to constantly manage the information flow. Government regulations are changing. How do you arrive? In fact, when I flew a week back to the Netherlands, it was a little bit of, for me, as a person who has traveled and been in the travel industry, I still felt, there was an anxiety level getting to the airport. What do I do? But it was managed seamlessly. I think so. We're all coming to terms to that. So I think that's great, Deepak, and good to know. And thank you for sharing your thoughts of how markets are opening up and how the governments are reacting. I think that's extremely a positive step. Yeah. Thank you, Deepak. Sharif, I believe you are joining us from Australia. Am I correct?
I'm working remotely for the time being.
Wow. And what's the time there right now, Sharif?
It's 5 o'clock. It's like a couple of hours difference between Malaysia and Australia.
Oh, okay. So I thought I was going to give you some special treatment. So no, you're going to be the same as Amanda. So Sharif, thank you. Okay. So Sharif, I got some interesting facts. Flies to 35 destinations, not you, I mean Salam Air, carried 4 million passengers. And you, I mean, during the pandemic, went to 84 airports. That is remarkable. I would love to hear how you did that, because pandemic, I mean, things were pretty much on a lockdown stage across the globe. So with the impact of pandemic and Salam Air going to these different destinations, how were you managing, or how do you see the future of evolution of travel from an airline perspective? I think that's very important to hear from you. Sharif?
Thank you, Ori. Pleasure being with you today and being with you as moderator and with the panelists. Very interesting question, Ori. I think it's $1 million question. Nobody knows the answer. Telling you he can forecast the future of the air travel. I think there is some indication which we can read what's going on. Like the basic answer, I can say we are going the upward direction. We are not going downward. The industry is heading back not to some sort of recovery. Still a long way to go, but there is a lot of factor I can see it from the airline perspective. What's happening? The more standardized travel regulation imposed or implemented by government globally, as you can see, the 2 vaccine and negative PCR test became across the board the standard requirement for a traveler now. So this will setting a standard procedure and regulation across the board will make it easy for recovery. The second thing I think from introducing more integrated technology to enable facilitating the travel, validating the vaccine, just like the vaccine passport or the travel passport, which you're going to introduce soon by a lot of airlines and a lot of also government. This will improve the demand in the industry. I think 2020, based on my understanding, the demand has been dropped by 64%. We have really, it is one of the biggest hit ever, and I don't think anything was similar, neither a pandemic or epidemic or natural disaster was similar to the COVID. The industry hit was huge. But currently, with consistent travel regulation across the board, country opening borders, consumer confidence is much better. We are setting a new standard. I think within the next 6 months, the upward trend will continue. And once the business back to normal, I have a very positive expectation. And my personal expectation, once thing business back to normal, everything like either we get rid of COVID or people get vaccinated, and the border start open again in pre-COVID, you will find excess demand to meet the people desire. People desperate to travel, and we have seen this as an airline. Once we open a destination which have a reasonable travel requirement which can be met, you will find the demand is huge. So at Salam, we introduced this summer Sarajevo as first time to direct connection between Oman and Bosna, and we had Trabzon and Istanbul, and the demand was really surprising.
Great destinations, beautiful destinations.
2 flights for Trabzon, and we increased it to 6 flights.
Wow.
There is a high level of desire to travel. There is 2 segments in the market. If I can say, there is a big portion of the population really desperate to travel, waiting till border reopen again. There is other small segment which is really uncertain, worry about the risk. And we will expect, we call them the late adapter. They will gonna take a while. They will see how other people travel and they get convinced and start traveling back. So from an airline perspective, I am positive. I think we'll see an upward trend for the next 6 months. Mid of next year, I believe things will get back to normal. Most of the global population get vaccinated, and the travel regulation get more standardized, and we will see really an excess demand. We haven't seen it for a while. Could recover or pay back the last 18 months period.
Sharif, you're absolutely right. It's a work in progress. I remember when in last year, March and April, the lockdown started in this part of the world. Believe me, we, as an organization based in Dubai, we were, I think when my friends came over, I mean, obviously there was lockdown, but when we're doing Zoom calls and we're trying to connect, I mean, I did not connect because I was so busy. We were all getting ready. And we were getting ready for D-Day, when flights would start, when countries will open up. And that paid off. You know, we had about we launched about another additional 4 products. We already had 14 products in our bandwagon. We are launching 6 more, and and I'm so happy to hear what Amanda is also saying, that simple fact, one size doesn't fit all. We have to look at diversification. Thank you, Sharif. Rob, you've dialed in all the way from the Red Apple, am I correct?
Yeah, in New York. It's quite early, but I don't like saying no to you. And
thank you so much, Rob. Thank you
of course,
so much.
when I saw the esteemed panelists as well, many of who I know on a personal level, I knew that I had to be a part of it.
Thank you so much, Rob, for taking time. I think I have to definitely give you a little bit more of the time. So, Rob, I've always been intrigued. Blue ribbon bag. Why there is a blue and a ribbon? I mean, what's the relationship here? Did you do something, or did the founders do something with the blue and a ribbon? So that's one. Hold on, hold the thought. But some interesting facts. You do 21 million bags misplaced. I mean, you did not, obviously. Somebody did. 100% airlines were covered, and 100,000 global flights. That's remarkable. So can you talk about, I mean, Blue Ribbon Bag is obviously a very specialized service. And how do you see that evolving? Because it's such a specialized service which you're providing with the partnership, what you're doing with us in this part of the world. Over to you, Rob.
Yeah, thanks. So I wasn't around when the company was founded, but when something is described as blue ribbon, it means best in service, high class. So I think that's what they were going for when they came up with the name of the company. And Blue Ribbon Bags, also the acronym BRB, makes it simple. But just to give the listeners a little context, Blue Ribbon Bags is selling its product on 200 digital platforms, whether it's an airline website, OTA, B2B platform, in over 90 countries. So we have a lot of data that we're able to see, and we have actually seen an increase in our attachment rates pretty much across the board. In places like the US and Europe especially, we've seen increases as high as 2x in some cases. So obviously the volume with the pandemic is not what it used to be. We know it will be back, as my other panelists have shared. We do think and we do feel that the worst is behind us. But when we see these attachment figures increasing the way that they have, this tells us very clearly that there is a demand for value-added services. Consumers are hungry for these benefits or enhancements that go above and beyond what a traditional travel insurance policy offers. It allows customers to customize their trip, whether it's has to do with delayed baggage, whether it has to do with flight delay. They're able to add on these additional services to provide themselves with the peace of mind. As you mentioned, you were going to the Netherlands. There was a heightened anxiety level for you. If at the time that you purchased your flight, if you could purchase something for a minimal amount of money that will take you from here to here, you would have done it.
Correct.
So there's certainly an appetite for these types of services, and it's on the partners, right? The OTAs, the airlines, the B2B platforms, to make sure they are offering these types of services, but doing it in a smart way, right? Offering it in a clean and concise way, and making it easy for the consumer so they're not overwhelmed.
Fantastic.
We see this trend with these value-added services continuing for the foreseeable future, given our existing travel landscape.
Rob, thank you so much. In the context of time, but I think you're absolutely right. Today, one of the key things which I even personally experience or would like to know is the information as to what should I be doing before I go to the airport? What should I do when I'm at the airport? What should I do when I'm at the airport? What should I do when I come back? I mean, that's a lot of information that's going out. So I think, yes, for all of us here with the travel industry, these are some very key issues, not even issues, I would say, creative ways of addressing it. How do you get that information out? Now, in the context of time, I know I've been nudged. So what I'm going to do is I'd like to ask each one of you. I think we will go to the fact that what is your and I'll start with our Wonder Woman, Amanda. Uh, what what would be your key message or one message which stands out from your experience personally or from the business model to the viewers and the listeners? And guys, I will be asking you the same question, so place your thoughts. So Amanda, over to you. One key learning uh, which you would like to share with us. I definitely want to know, and the rest who are listening and viewing.
Um, okay, so personally, throughout this pandemic, one of the major experience that I've went through is actually being agile, not just as a person, as an employee, but the company is being agile to be able to embrace what the future is going to be, right? That will be a very powerful mindset, I think, for all of us in the travel industry.
Yeah,
We no longer have any data that we used to have, right? The booking curve, talking about travel booking, has gone really being a historical right now. Moving forward, what will be the actually future of this behavior? Nobody knows. All we need to do is being agile and being bold in whatever we do and embrace the change. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rob, from the Big Apple, the Red Apple,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah, I would say one of the key learnings that I found through this pandemic is when it comes to information, it's the context of the information is not as important as the timing of the information. Meaning that we need to get our customers the information as quickly as possible, whether it's travel alerts, new protocols, from our standpoint, where their bags are, so our customers can make informed decisions on the spot right away, because that can be the difference between having a great holiday or a not so great holiday. So that's one key finding that I had.
Spot on. All the way from New York to Australia, United States to Australia. Sharif, what is your thoughts? What is your key?
I think the COVID, while COVID have a lot of negative impact in the industry and in the airline, in the economy, it has stretched everyone, like every organization, for a renewal, renewing their thinking, going outside their comfort zone. A lot of innovation has been happening. The industry has been in this comfort zone for a while, and this really shook everyone, shook the industry, shook all industry, all organization working with the airlines from different industry. So I think we will not go pre-COVID. We have a new standard of thinking and working after COVID. And we need, as an organization, as an individual, our skills need to match the post-COVID era, which is completely different than pre-COVID. It's a new standard going to happen, and all of us need to learn from it.
Change is the only constant factor, Sharif. You're absolutely right. Deepak, you're in India, so maybe hear from you, your thoughts.
Ori, I think the critical part will be, and the biggest learning from COVID would be, keep solving for consumer problems. And there are many which came up, and that's a big learning. And that is something which will remain constant. It has to happen at a real-time speed on the app rather than a delayed information. I think quickly we reach out to the consumer, it gives them the confidence and the trust.
Yeah.
And the speed of getting the change done or passing on the information is going to be critical. And I think leveraging technology will play a crucial part on travel going ahead.
Spot on, Deepak. Tariq from Dubai.
Thank you very much. So what, everybody's echoed, I fully endorse whatever they've said. Amanda talking from agility, Deepak talking from being very customer centric and solving for customers, Sharif talking about the change, and Robert talking about more about information coming to the people at the right time. I would just like to add one more thing, and this is something which is very important during the pandemic that has all got all of us, is keep a very close eye on your cash flows.
Yeah.
And for businesses at this point of time, we saw a lot of challenges with our vendors who could not pay up through their suppliers, and we had to kind of cut them out in order to not be able to get stuck. We also had to make sure that all the wherever we had credits, we had to make sure that the collections actually happened much faster, so that we would be in a better position to reach back that. At the same time, we also use that as an opportunity to do some pre-buys and bulk buying that helped us get a significant advantage in the market by getting pricing that would not be available otherwise.
True.
So I think for us, one big learning was how do we effectively manage our cash flows in order to utilize it in a much more effective manner. And I mean, all the other points are absolutely valid. This kind of is something that we've added to it.
Very important, very valid, Tariq. I think you actually said that yeah, you got to manage it internally. It's not just looking at the customer, but how do you manage your own ecosystem within the organization? That's extremely important. I know, again, with the context of time, I believe we are very close to ending. I just want to know if there are any questions from the audience. I think we have about a minute to go. We'll just try to see if that can be displayed on the screen. Or if we don't have, I think we have. Okay, Amanda, Wonder Woman, you have so many opportunities. What differentiates Tune from others in your view?
Wow, this is spot on the questions from the Tune families. I guess for me, what differentiates Tune from others in my view is the synergy that we have with the entire Tune companies, not just Tune Protect. If I may go directly into Tune Protect, is the synergies that this Tune gave us is it complements the business that we have today in Super App in many ways. Especially now, you talk about we work very closely together. We're going to make available the non-travel products where we already pivoted into beyond travel and airline. That works very well with us, right? No doubt. So this is an opportunity I'm seeing that how Tune is very different from others. You have so many things that to offer, but in the past, we are limiting ourselves just to travel. But today, look at us. Yeah, really, look at us today. We are going to make available your motor insurance, your dental insurance, your health, your sports, right? All this thing will be available on our Super App, right? So this really differentiate anyone out there that we don't even have to reach out to many players out there, but we just go straight to you guys as our key partners. That's how I see the opportunities.
Amanda, thank you. Yes, you're absolutely right. As I keep advocating, one size doesn't fit all. So you're absolutely right. Do we have another question? Or, how has the impact of COVID affected business of travel agencies? Did you have to pivot and have them manage to survive this prolonged pandemic? Anybody would like to take this on?
Yeah, I can possibly add a little bit to this one. So yes, COVID did impact a lot of things to the travel industry, specifically for the travel players. You had a pretty subdued business travel confidence, which was one of the biggest contributors to the overall business that was there. You had leisure, which was pretty much stopped because you didn't have enough destinations where people would go to, or they would just kind of hold up in one place, and the pricing into that places became very, very expensive. So the whole, I think I wouldn't say we had to pivot, but what we had to look at is what is it that the customers would really appreciate and would like, and would be very convenient for them to be able to consume in this particular period. So where they had little restrictions, where they could have an affordable holiday without getting very worried about contracting the virus while on travel, and more importantly, creating a very strong information bank about what can you do and where can you do things. And I think this was a very important part of where we had to create a very, very dedicated team that all they had doing was keeping a close eye on what's happening around the world by destination, by rules, by regulations, and keep on updating that in our system so that whenever customers came in, if they wanted to go to a particular place, they knew what are the conditions that are required for them to be able to go there. So I think, like what Robert was saying, getting the information to the person at that point of time and that in that contextual place was very important. So we managed to kind of do that, which I think is going to be continuous now and is going to be an inherent part of our DNA where we keep on adding and updating this information on a regular basis.
Fantastic, Tarek. Thank you so much. Yes, you're absolutely right. How do we get this forward? You're absolutely right. Is that a question? How many months or years shall we say that we are over from the pandemic? No, I don't. Sorry. I think that question is gone. It was there. It just went off. Any other questions from the audience? Okay. I would like to sum up the travel and technology panel discussion. Thank you so much, Tariq, Deepak, Rob, Sharif, Amanda. Hope we see each other soon. Tariq, you and I are next door, so we can always catch up. Deepak, I look forward to seeing you when you're in Dubai or I'm in India. Rob, definitely you're seeing me at the Red Apple soon enough. Sharif, Australia is one continent. I need to be there soon. And Amanda, see you when I'm next in Kuala Lumpur. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the audience for taking time. Thank you very much. Goodbye.